Hello, you're all welcome. Today we're going to talk about a different thing. The last time we met, we talked about the clause. And we defined the clause. We said that a clause is a group of words that contain a subject and a finite verb that forms part of the sentence. The necessary part of the sentence is a necessary, it is obligatory part of a sentence. It is very, very important in a sentence. And we identify about three types of clause. The last time we met, we talked about the noun clause, we talked about the adjectival clause or the relative clause, and we also talked about the verb clause. And we see that this particular types of clauses helps us they perform, they are very, very important in sentence formation. Today we're going to talk about the noun clause. And what is a noun clause? A noun clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a finite verb that function as a noun in a given sentence. Now, when we say that it functions as part of a noun as a given sentence, that means it does the same thing. It performs the same function that a noun performs in a given sentence. And what are these particular functions of a noun? What are these functions of a noun? If you look out here, one of the basic functions of a noun is that it functions as subject of a verb. The second one, it functions as object of a verb, and also as complement of a subject, also complement of object, and finally complement of a preposition. These are some of the basic functions of a noun in a given sentence. And a noun clause performs these same functions as well. And for us to realize these particular functions as we've shown on the board, let us look at the examples, the sentences we have here. As from there, we can identify these particular functions. Now let's look at the first sentence here. What he said annoyed me greatly. Now, I underline what he said because this is the subject of this particular sentence and it is what? A noun clause. The second one, that he was made a chief, made everyone happy. I also underline that he was made a chief because this is the word, the subject of this particular sentence. Okay, now let's look at the third one here. I repeated what he said yesterday. And now here we have what he said yesterday on the line because this is another noun clause and it functions as object of the verb repeated. Now let's look at the third one here. What saddens me the most is the fact that coronavirus is real. Oh yes, it is very, very real. But so let's get back to now. If you look at this, what saddens me the most is a subject. The fact that coronavirus is real is a complement of the subject because if you remember a sentence is divided into two. We have the subject and the predicate, right? The subject and the predicate, and the predicative part of the sentence starts from where the first verb appears. And here, this is the verb that we have here. This is the verb that we have here that we're working with here. So from here is part of what? Of the subject complement. It complements the subject. Now let's look at the fifth one. We called her what she liked. Yes, we called her what she liked. Now, if you look at this particular sentence here, what she liked is underlined. We called. We here can stand as a subject. Called is a verb. Her here can stand as what? As an object. Right? Can stand as object. So what she liked here is complement of this particular object of what? Of this particular object of the sentence. So this one complements this particular object. Now let's look at the last one here. The government gave money to the poor Nigerians who live in the rural areas. Here we underline the poor Nigerians who live in the rural area as the what? The complement of what? This particular preposition. The preposition to, because this particular complement comes immediately after to, and this is what it complements. It gives us more information. It tells us more about this particular preposition to. So this particular one is what? Complement of a preposition. It complements this particular preposition to. So we've talked about the noun clause today, and we said that the noun clause is a group of words that gives us more that function as a noun in a given sentence, and we identify some basic functions of a noun clause. We say it functions as subject of a verb, object of a verb, complement of object, complement of a subject, and complement of a preposition. And to make sure that we did not forget these particular things that we talked about today, back home there, you have to do something for me. Get 3 sentences. First sentence should be on what? Subject of a verb. Second sentence should be object of a verb, and third sentence should be complement of a subject. Just the same way I did it here. Write the sentences and underline these particular functions. For example, you give me a sentence like I did with this one. What he said annoyed me greatly. You underline the subject of a verb. You underline it. The second one, you go to object, like what I did here. I repeated what she said yesterday. You underline what? The object of the verb. Then you go to the third one. The same way as I did it, I have done it here, to make sure that we practice, we make it a part of our daily speech, so that we get used to how to use this particular thing. And by so doing, we'll be proficient, we'll do well in forming sentences that are meaningful, that will express what we want or what we intend to pass across, because communication is all about what you send a message, and your message getting to the target area and giving the intended information. So for you to do that, you need to encode it in a well crafted, in a well formed sentences, using the using what is expected of you. Remember, we're going to stop here for today. Remember, COVID-19 is real. Stay safe, stay at home, and always wash your hand. Thank you very much.